In this Diablo 4 video, I'm going to be showing you my Ice Vortex build, which is a level 70 Barbarian Whirlwind build that's aimed at World Tier 4, and this is the first of our level 70 plus builds. This Whirlwind build has insane clear speed, allowing you to deal with massive packs of elites in a matter of seconds, while also providing you with max speed at almost all times, which greatly reduces the time it takes to clear a dungeon. The main difference with other Whirlwind builds is that we'll be using the Penitent Greaves as a crowd control mechanic. The Penitent Greaves leave a trail of frost that chills enemies when they stand on top of it, greatly reducing both their movement and attack speed. This allows you to easily handle big packs of enemies and allows you to have better control of the battlefield. This build is very easy to set up, but has a wide variety of options to further improve it, making it perfect for both players that are just starting with Tier 4, and for players that are looking to quickly farm experience, nightmare dungeons, or loot in general, as it allows you to clear content many levels above your current without breaking a sweat. Once you've hit Tier 4, you'll want to start thinking about min-maxing to get the most out of your build, and that starts with skills. Thanks to the Paragon boards and the increase in equipment affixes, you'll be able to bypass most of the restrictions you previously faced while leveling up, like running out of fury or having to deal with cooldowns, so you'll probably need to relocate some passives and even swap some skills. If you've been using our level 50 Vortex Barbarian, you'll need to swap a couple of passives, swap your charge for Challenging Shout, and finally swap your key passive for Unconstrained into Unbridled Rage. I won't get too deep into skills, as you most probably know how they work by now. The only thing that you really need to understand is that shouts are what make this build work, as they provide you with resource generation, damage reduction, and also boost your damage. Being able to reduce your shout's cooldown will be our top priority, as it dictates the amount of time you can maintain the build active. For the weapon technique, we'll take two-handed axe expertise, as we'll be able to constantly maintain vulnerable on enemies. Next, we'll move to equipment. Equipment is the most important part of any endgame build, and it's important to understand that it's a long-term goal. You won't have all Paragon boards available right away, and getting all uniques will probably take a lot of farming, so try to use legendary aspects to adjust to your needs while you farm levels and better gear. I'll divide the equipment into different slots so it's easier to understand what you should be using and what affixes you should be looking for. Remember that unique equipment has fixed affixes and powers, so if you're using one, you might need to reslot a legendary aspect into a different piece. As a general note, try to prioritize cooldown reduction over other stats, as it directly affects your shouts and ultimate ability, increasing your uptime. Another important thing to notice is that when looking for stats, you want to make sure you're fulfilling your Paragon rare node requirements. Some rare nodes have very high requirements, and equipment is what allows you to fulfill them. These bonuses often double the rare node effect, so for example, getting an equipment piece with 100 dexterity might unlock one or more node bonuses, giving you a massive bonus as a result. So let's take a look at Helmet first. Here we have the legendary aspect of Grasping Whirlwind. This aspect is a must for this build, as it pulls enemies towards you, allowing you to deal with all of them at the same time, greatly increasing your efficiency. Affixes you want on it are cooldown reduction, maximum life, stats, damage while berserking, and total armor. And another option for Helmet is the unique item Harlequin Crest. This is the most powerful helmet currently available in the game, and it has a very low chance to drop. In addition to its great affixes, it improves all of your skills by 4 ranks, as well as providing you with damage reduction. If you're lucky enough to get it, make sure to equip it and slot Grasping Whirlwind into something else. Moving to chest, the first one you want to look for is Aspect of the Protector. This provides you with a barrier when fighting elites. This barrier not only provides you with damage mitigation, but also boosts your attack thanks to the conceded aspect. You'll be able to remove this aspect once you get a hold of the Temerity unique pants. Affixes you want to look out for are plus to damage, damage to skills that swap to new weapon, physical damage, ranks to Challenging Shout or Rallying Cry, damage reduction from enemies that are bleeding, and total armor. The other option for the chest slot is the unique piece of equipment Rage of Harrogath. This armor is perfect for this build, providing both damage and damage reduction. The best part is its unique power, which provides a lucky hit chance to reduce the cooldown of your shouts when you inflict bleeding on enemies. Moving to gloves, the first one you want to look for is Aspect of Anemia. This aspect is great to help with crowd control, especially against big packs of elites. You'll often stun a couple of them and prevent them from moving or attacking. Affixes you want to look for are Critical Strike Chance, plus to Whirlwind, and plus to stats. And when it comes to uniques, there are 2 options here. Gore's Devastating Grips. These gloves are by far the best gloves for this build, as they provide plus ranks to Whirlwind, Fury on Kill, and Lucky Hit, synergizing perfectly with the build. Its unique power creates an explosion at the end of the Whirlwind, allowing you to finish off any remaining enemy. The other option is Frostburn. If you want to keep the freezing theme, you can add these gloves into the mix. Even if they don't provide as much damage as the Gore's Devastating Grips, they still provide you with increased critical strike chance, as well as a lucky hit chance to restore a percentage of your fury. Its unique power has a lucky hit chance to freeze enemies, which acts similar to the Aspect of Anemia. For waste, you want to look for the legendary aspect of the Numbing Wrath. This will allow you to generate enough Fortify to enable the counter-offensive passive. If you go for the Warbringer Paragon board, you can take the legendary node to replace this. Affixes you want to look for are damage after killing an elite, total armor, ranks of Warcry, plus stats, and damage reduction. The unique you're going for here is Temerity. These pants are amazing, providing you a ton of healing benefits. On top of that, its unique power allows you to convert all excess healing into a barrier. Since you'll be healing all the time thanks to Raid Leader, you'll be able to maintain a barrier all the time, which at the same time provides you more damage thanks to the conceited aspect. Next we come to Greaves. You want to be on the lookout for the Ghostwalker aspect. This aspect greatly increases your movement speed while you are using Rallying Cry or Wrath of the Berserker. In addition, it will allow you to freely move through enemies, which is great to rush dungeons, ignoring regular mobs while looking out for elites. Affixes you want are movement speed and plus to stats. The unique piece of equipment you're looking for here is the Penitent Greaves. These Greaves provide a massive boost to movement speed, allowing you to maintain max speed almost all the time thanks to Rallying Cry and Berserking. On top of that, its unique power leaves a trail of frost behind you, chilling enemies. Enemies that are chilled will move and attack slower, and if they stand on top of the chill for too long, they'll freeze. On top of that, you'll deal increased damage to chilled enemies, so this acts as a damage boost as well. These boosts are amazing when used with Whirlwind, as you can pass through enemies and apply the debuff directly to them. Next, we come to your two-handed bludgeoning weapon. Here you'll want the aspect of Dire Whirlwind. This is a must for this build, increasing your critical strike chance the longer you use Whirlwind. Affixes you'll look for are damage to close enemies, vulnerable damage, critical strike damage, damage to slowed enemies, damage to bleeding enemies, core skill damage, or plus to stats. There is no unique equipment recommended for this slot. You should use a regular weapon to make sure you are slotted with the required two-handed aspect. For your first one-handed weapon, you're going to be looking for Aspect of the Expectant. This aspect allows you to use Lunging Strike to build up a buff that increases the damage of your next Whirlwind. With a perfect roll of 10%, you can achieve the maximum effect with 3 Lunging Strikes. Affixes you want to look out for are the same as previously mentioned. There is no unique equipment recommended for this slot since you need this aspect. For your second one-handed, you'll want the Conceited aspect. This aspect increases all your damage while you have a barrier active. You'll be able to achieve this by using Aspect of the Protector at first, and then you'll have it enabled all the time thanks to Temerity. Again, you'll look for the same affixes as the previous weapons, and there is no unique recommended for this slot. Lastly, we come to two-handed slashing and the aspect of Limitless Rage. This aspect allows you to capitalize on the excess fury that you generate to increase the damage of your Whirlwind. Affixes you want to look out for are the same as previously mentioned. However, there is a unique piece of equipment that works here, and that is the Grandfather. This weapon has a very low chance to drop, but provides a massive boost to critical damage, which synergizes perfectly with this build. If you're lucky enough to get it, make sure you equip it. Next is the Amulet and the Edgemaster's aspect. This aspect increases the damage of your Whirlwind based on the fury you had when you cast it, synergizing perfectly with this build. Affixes you want to look out for are cooldown reduction, plus to damage, damage with two-handed slashing weapons, damage after killing an elite, plus to stats, and plus total armor. There is no unique equipment recommended for this category. For your first ring, you'll look for the aspect of Echoing Fury. This will provide you with Fury while your shouts are active, and this effect is cumulative, so when your 3 shouts are all active, you'll get 3 times the bonus. Affixes you want to look out for are damage to slowed enemies, damage to bleeding, damage to close, critical strike chance, vulnerable damage, physical damage, or damage while berserking. There is no unique equipment recommended for this slot. And for your second ring, you'll look for the Bold Chieftain's aspect. This aspect is key to this build as it greatly reduces the cooldown of your shouts. Make sure to save as many spares as possible, so you can slot it on rings if you need to swap them. And with affixes, you'll look for the same as the other ring, and again, there is no unique equipment recommended for this slot. For gems, you want emeralds to increase your critical damage against vulnerable enemies on your weapons, on armor ruies to boost your maximum life, and for jewelry, you want skulls to boost your defensive value. When it comes to the Paragon boards, we're mainly going to aim for rare nodes that increase our damage output, as well as glyphs that synergize with our build. Please note that the order in which I get the nodes is just a general guideline and that you can adjust it to your current needs. On the first Paragon board, you want to make a zigzag first, taking the rare node on the right and then taking the one on the left, making sure to grab the physical damage magic nodes as well. On the glyph socket, you'll want to slot the exploit glyph and assign 25 dexterity around it. The normal effect will increase vulnerable damage, while the bonus effect will guarantee that we apply a 3-second vulnerable status as soon as you hit an enemy. This is extremely important to boost our damage from the beginning of the fight. You'll still want to keep pressure point for longer fights and for bosses. For a second Paragon board, we'll want Weapons Master. On this board, you'll want to rotate until you have the Raw Power rare node on the bottom side, as this will be the first node you'll want to take in combination with the physical damage magic nodes. Next, take the socket board and slot the Martial glyph and assign 40 strength around it. This glyph is great for our build, making it so that when you use a shout, you reduce the cooldown of your other shouts. Since we have 3 shouts, this will act like a chain reaction, reducing the cooldown by 2.4 seconds. From here, you'll want to head straight up and head for the Brute Rare node. From there, turn left and follow the magical node and go down till you get the Hunter Killer node, making sure to get all the plus damage to elite magic nodes as well, which greatly increase the damage to elites. Once you have these nodes, you can continue to the right from Brute and reach the board attachment gate. For your third Paragon board, you'll want Decimator. You'll want to rotate the board until you have the Destroyer rare node on the left-hand side. Head straight for it and take it in combination with all the magic nodes. From there, head upwards, where you'll be able to get another Brawn rare node and a couple of physical damage magic nodes. From here, head towards the center and grasp the socket. Here you'll want to slot the Disembowel glyph and assign 5 willpower around it. This is our most important glyph because of its bonus effect, which gives you a chance to reduce your shout's cooldown when you kill a bleeding enemy. Once you have the socket and bonus effect, you want to take the Demolish rare node, which is straight on top of the socket. Make sure to take the Vulnerable Damage rare nodes as well. Once you have all the previous nodes, you'll want to take the board attachment located at the top. To do so, continue from the Brawn rare node up. For your fourth Paragon board, you'll want Carnage. Rotate the board until the Berserker rare node is on the bottom. Go straight for it and take the magic nodes as well. From here, head straight up and turn right on the Fierce rare node. Take the node in combination with the damage while berserking magic nodes. Now you'll want to take the socket. Here you can slot the glyph of the weapon that you're using to further boost your damage. Once you have all nodes, take the attachment gate on the left. And for the fifth Paragon board, you'll want Warbringer. Rotate the board until you get the guarded advance node on the right part. Make your way towards the center, grabbing all the damage while fortified magic nodes as well as the guarded advance node. Once in the center, take the legendary node. This will allow you to free the aspect of Numbing Wrath from your waist. If you get Temerity very soon during your playthrough, you might want to prioritize this board before the others. Final tips. Remember that to maximize damage, you'll need to build up both Aspect of Limitless Rage and Aspect of the Expectant. To do so, simply use a couple of lunging strikes, and keep an eye on the top of your skill bar where you'll see both buffs. Once the numbers are at max, you'll be able to cast Whirlwind at its full power. When using shouts, make sure to hit as many enemies as possible to further reduce their cooldown. If you're using Rallying Cry to navigate dungeons quickly, use Warcry and Challenging Shout as well as the Paragon glyph will help with cooldowns. I highly recommend that you spend your obols on rings, since this will allow you to get good versions of both Aspect of Echoing Fury and Bold Chieftain's Aspect. Remember to craft and drink precision elixirs, which increase both critical strike chance and critical strike damage, further boosting the build performance. And lastly, this build is designed to fight multiple enemies at once, so try to run dungeons with tight corridors and big packs of enemies. So that wraps up our Ice Vortex build. I hope you guys found this helpful. This is the first of our level 70 builds. You can expect more to come out this week and the following week. I'm going to try and get out at least one a day. I'm hoping the next one is a Sorceress build, hopefully followed by a Necromancer build. But we'll just have to see. I also have Paragon guides planned, one for each class, so stay tuned for those.